got a good one.
Okay.
Okay, so you can now take your incompetent city building to Europe or Asia with the expansion of Next Station London into Next Station Tokyo.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
That's. Is this it?
I think
Is this you doing it?
It could be.
Man.
You want me to redo it?
Yeah.
You're an improv guy, Michael. You're supposed to just yes
You have to,
and.
but I
all of
know
that.
where. I know when the scene is starting, though.
I said
because the
I think
lights
I have
come
a
up.
good one.
I think I have a good one. Then you keep looking at me.
You want me to go and turn
Look at
the
the-
lights off?
Lights up.
This is a conversation that the audience.
Are we still doing it?
Okay,
Are we just
fine.
gonna go with this?
Whether you want to be an incompetent city builder in London or Tokyo, you now have that choice with Next Station Tokyo, the sequel to the apparently acclaimed, that I'd only heard of a couple of times,
Apparently.
flew under my radar, Next Station London.
Totally acclaimed.
But this is one of your favorite games. correct?
Nominated for the dang spiel.
Okay. Again,
Okay,
there's
like
a-
it's some subjective.
there's
thing.
a lot of games, Michael. There's a
There
lot
are
of games.
there are so many,
There are.
and how wonderful that we get to experience these two.
Yeah.
Next Station London and Next Station Tokyo. You are drawing lines and making maps and pushing. It has a little bit of push your luck in there too.
Incompetent city building. That's kind of like railroading.
The city's already built.
They're-
The city's above us. We can do whatever sort of nonsense we want
For
below.
whatever reason, they have hired us to be the civil engineers to design
is-
the subway station.
Yep.
As in Railroad Inc., where they hired the worst possible people to design the road and railway
They're
station.
rolling dice to design our railroads.
Welcome back to Play the Game HQ.
Hi.
I'm Daniel. This is Michael.
You cannot give me any
I
more
got
trouble
it.
about knowing when you're doing the intro and when you're not.
I was trying to tie it in later in the video.
It's a professional channel.
Yeah, it is. So let's first talk a little bit about the, and sorry if we're glistening.
Don't
It's Arkansas.
apologize.
The air conditioning has been running for the last, like I cranked it down to like 70 at 5 o'clock
Send
this morning.
a fax to Mother Nature if
It
you
is,
have complaints.
it is so friggin' hot outside.
Yes, but luckily underground it's nice and cool with
Yes.
the trains whipping through the tunnels. So
Nice tie-in.
yeah, I'm an improv guy. You said. Next Station London came out first, and for that reason feels a little bit simpler than Tokyo. Tokyo will run you into some serious corners,
Yeah.
but in a pretty fun way that you have to think ahead a little bit more for it. The bones of both games are completely the same
Yep.
in that you are flipping over cards that tell you which stations you have to visit, or wild ones, and using specific colors at different times to draw those. So it's for up to 4 players at a time, but if you have as many sets of colors as you want, you could play a gigantic game with everybody on the same subway car.
Yeah. And the cards there's a little bit of unknown in that, because you'll notice some of these cards in both games, there's cards with a solid background and there's 5 cards with a striped background. I believe there's 11 cards total. They're
11,
shuffled
yep.
together. When the 5th striped background card comes out, that ends your round. That could be all 11 cards come out, or like Allison and I played yesterday, 6 cards come out,
Wow,
and you
yeah.
get to do nothing.
Well, that explains this very protracted brown line
Yes,
that Allison
yeah.
ended up with.
So there is a little unknown. There's, as you mentioned, there's a little bit of push your luck, because it is like, I want to go here, but I don't know how many moves I'm actually going to have.
Right. So the way that you get points, you draw with one color at a time. So if you're drawing with blue, I might be drawing with
almost
pink.
poked my eye.
And yeah, that's fine. Watch your eyes with sharp colored pencils. The color that you start with determines which station is your initial starting point, and then once you draw your line to a station, say circle, you can choose whichever circle you are connected to. In this case, with pink, I have 2 options that I can go to from here, and then once you have a line, you have 2 different choices for what station you want to use.
Always have to go off the end of your line, unless you get a switching station there,
Yeah.
which lets you go off the middle of your line.
Yeah,
somewhere.
tremendous. You love to see it, but it tends to come up very early
So
in the
many
game.
times we got that on our second move. It's like I
Yeah.
have nowhere to switch off of.
So it works a little bit different in Tokyo, and a little bit more dynamic. And a very cool thing about the ways that these two games differ is that you can use any of these components with Next Station London. The exception being that you got to use the color green, because the color green is already on Tokyo, which means you can connect with more than just 4 colors, which is super neat. But the Tokyo associates pencil powers with symbols instead, so it's a little bit more dynamic for that reason. Pencil powers in London are associated with a specific color. So when you draw blue, for instance, you'll be able to use that specific power, which ups your score for one of the metrics.
One time per round.
Yeah.
So the pencil power in London is once per round you get to use one of the abilities, and that ability travels with the color pencil. Because like you were saying, essentially the game flow is you're going to go through a round, turn over those cards until you get to the end of the round, and then you're going to pass your pencil to the right, take the next pencil, and you're going to get each color one time and draw that line and tie them together.
So Tokyo takes that and reimagines it in a pretty beautiful way. The bones of these games feel so similar, but they do very cool, different things. Now, no matter what color you're drawing with, every time a circle comes up, you can use it as a track switch, which is wild and allows you. I would say that you sort of need these to feel good about your Tokyo network, because you need a lot more options. If you compare these two,
there's a lot going on.
There's some empty space in a lot of places, and some places you can really only get if you want to go from here to here, you're gonna have to take a lot of turns. And the way that you score them is similar, but also different. It is different enough that it feels like a totally different game, but similar enough that it's like the same family.
Yeah, it's a good next step, because like I said, London is definitely simpler. Tokyo adds some complexity, adds some different choices, which the biggest one is this pre-drawn the green route that circles the center of town. And when you've drawn a line, you cannot cross an existing line that's been drawn. So if you want to go somewhere that's on the other side of a line, you have to tie it through a station. And this is one of my gripes with the game, because I loved the game. It was a great experience.
Tell me a few gripes.
Yeah, well, first off, really enjoyed it. Great experience. It's one of those that you have to work really hard to get a high score. And some games, to get a relatively
You've only played
high
twice.
Score. Oh, do you not have to actually try?
It's really easy.
Okay. Sorry, us lowly newbies at the
I've been
next
designing
station.
lines for years.
So it requires a good bit of strategy, a good bit of thought. Otherwise, you're just kind of drawing. And something we didn't mention is you have these, you can, if you want to up the complexity, you can add in the 2 additional scoring options per game, just bonus goals that everyone's going to have to go to.
Yeah, got those.
I think they're very similar in the.
Well.
Now, what is this one and why is it?
So
this is Michael's.
Fun fact.
Michael's next station, London.
This card originally is painted with, it says 8, and then it has a not equal to sign, which is not actually what this goal is. This means have 8 or more interchange stations. So them printing the equal sign with the cross through it, that's not what it means, because you can achieve this goal with 8. So I had to get some paint pens and make it right.
So because we were wondering, we were like, oh, this is house rule, so it's not house rule.
Greater than or equal to 8 interchange stations, which means visit with more than one color.
Yes.
One of the concerns that I have, at least when I'm playing roll and writes or introducing people to roll and writes, is the level of interaction. Like something like My City, I really love the My City roll and build. But the sheets aren't very colorful. It turns out to be not really interactive. And there's not interaction in the classical sense in these, but it feels like it has sort of a ghost interaction, because you are operating in a different zone of the map than I am. So I'm hoping for very different things to come up.
Yeah,
I need a circle to make a really great move, and you need a pentagon. So we're hoping for different things at different times, and it's fun to look at. It does look intimidating though, because I took this off the shelf a few times at Game Goblins before I knew what it was. And I looked at the back of this, and that looks like spreadsheeting. I don't really want to do that. And then it started getting a little bit more attention. Yeah, well, sorry, I enjoy them now, but this was a very good introduction to what roll and writes and flip and writes can do.
And it does in the intimidation fact. Like, it does look really intimidating, but basically just you have to follow a dotted line. You can't make your own pathways. That's all of the intimidation factor is just, those are just telling you what paths there are between stations. And again, as you draw more lines on, you have to avoid crossing over lines. Now, here's my beef with both games. A big part of the game is visiting more districts, and I can almost 100% guarantee that when I look at this and say you're going to visit all of the districts, you have no idea what I'm talking about, because I'm almost positive you cannot see that on the overhead camera or on this camera. There are the faintest possible yellow lines drawn in. Like here, let's I see what you're about to do.
Yeah.
There's one there in each corner. There's there, and this is pretty symmetrical to the whole thing. And then there's a square around the middle, and there.
Yeah, so something I
there.
do when I am going through how to score with people is very deliberately point to them.
Yeah,
1,
especially
2.
the corner
There are 13
ones.
districts. Yeah,
And
the
in this
corner
one,
ones are surprising.
there's like the square, and then there's a little bit there, and then but they cut off in the middle. Like it's so hard to see, and I don't have poor eyesight. I have very good eyesight, and it's still very hard to, as you're drawing, to not like miss the center lines, and especially that it's just surely they could have come up with a better way to denote. And I get they don't want to like confuse you as you're drawing your station lines, but give me something. Give me something other than a barely able to see yellow line.
I have trouble imagining what they might do for that though, because it can't be something that looks like you can't draw through it.
Right.
I'm going to talk about my gripe now.
Yeah. Okay, you're great.
And how I was discouraged
you need me to
from
hold
playing
the other
this.
end of that.
No, I'm going
so
to do
that
a
we
ribbon dance with them. This is nuts.
It is. This
game.
This one is like 2 panels longer. Like this
It is.
This is the rules to flip over a card and draw a line to the next shape that matches the card.
Yeah, it's one of those
Two-sided.
It's one of those games. I opened this up once after purchasing it, and I looked at this and all the words, and I said, well, I'm gonna have to just learn that later.
Yeah,
it's one of those situations where you take something so simple and you're like, I appreciate that you want to be very thorough with it, but this is intimidating, and the game is incredibly simple.
To be fair, this is one of those rule books where if you notice the darker color, can we see all of that? Anywhere there's a like green background and a darker green background, that's a sample move. And they give you a lot of example moves, almost too many for how simple the gameplay is.
Yeah, it's flip card, draw on dotted line, go to shape.
Start from color of pencil.
Start from color, go to shape, follow dotted line, try to go places.
Yeah.
Many places as you can.
On the gripes with the rule book, there are multiple spots where they'll walk you through, and there's like, here's how you do this, and then here's how that corresponds to points. Basically, here's how you score that. But then at the end of the rule book, where it's like final scoring, it's big detail on how you score this, and big detail on how you score this, and then score this, which we taught you like 7 pages ago, but we're not going to tell you where to go find that.
Yeah.
It just tells you to score that thing and assumes that you're going to remember from like it, versus putting in, adding a whole other page to be able to give you all of the that's one of my beefs with rule books, is when they don't give you all of the scoring in one spot so that you can look at one page.
Yeah.
And this does do that. It breaks up the scoring around. It's very detailed, but it is too detailed, I think.
Well, there is, to be fair, there is a lot. There's a lot going on, but never to the point where it's unmanageable.
Right.
And there are a lot of different possibilities for what could come out. So I appreciate that all that information is there, but I would hate to think that someone would pick up London or Tokyo, and I think if you're interested in this, you gotta start with London.
Yeah, it is. You could start with either one, but this one definitely
Tokyo's gonna feel worse, but when you play it after you play London, you're like, dang, this feels bad, but I get why.
Yeah. Now, this is, to disclosure, forgot about that at the beginning. Next Station Tokyo is a review copy. This is your personal copy. So we were sent Next Station Tokyo by Blue Orange Games to review, so we played this one first, unaware that this one existed.
Right.
And it is like, it was a little, it's more intimidating. Now, we love roll and write, so it all kind of fell into place, but it was intimidating. I think definitely if you're going to get one before the other, get London first, see if you like it. Tokyo will be a good next step for that, which something we don't talk a lot about in our reviews, which we probably ought to talk about more, is price.
Ah, yes.
these are like some of the best value you get, and it
for
gives
sure.
you a giant,
thick
thick two-sided stack of sheets. You're gonna have a hard time running out.
Yeah.
I believe this is MSRP is $18.99. This one you can find as low as like $13.99.
Yeah.
They are a fantastic value for what you get if you like a roll and write. Where in a world where you have a Railroad ink that is often $30 for 6 dry erase boards and some markers and a set of dice. Like
4 dry erase boards.
Yeah. So does it not come with 6 anymore? Oh.
Yeah. But it's more interesting. Railroad ink challenge.
Love Railroad. I'm a huge fan of Railroad ink.
So when I, on that same note, when you see something like that with a low price, you're wondering what you're going to get. The pad is crazy thick, and I didn't really have a reference point for it when I started playing games like this. But I am so thrilled that these. I mean, you can see how much we've played this one.
Yeah, you are going to have a hard time running out of those.
But I also, now that I have started to enjoy roll and writes and generally how quick they are to set up and play, I think about whether I could take them somewhere, like a bar, a restaurant, even like a picnic blanket. But you have to think about whether your cards are going to blow away. The box design is awesome. I love something that flips open and doesn't come apart like that.
Yeah,
But you can also, once you take your pads out and you've got your little station set up, we're playing the game. You can set the cards right in there and flip them over like that, so they're safe from the wind. We've played this in the park plenty of times.
It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
just have to make sure that you can see. The only issue, thing you need to make sure of, is that you can see at least when the striped cards come out, because that is what dictates.
You will if you do it like this, you'll definitely end up taking them out and thumbing through them, because it's also, that's another mechanical reason that you want to do that, is because there are 2 of each and 1 track switch.
Yes.
So it needs to be public knowledge. What other symbols might I get? So once you see that 4th one, you're like, we are guaranteed a circle, for instance. So you can think about where you want your route to go.
And that's something that I felt as I played the game more. That's something I found myself not doing the first time we played.
For sure.
But yesterday when we played, was finding myself like actually looking and counting the symbols and realizing, I can hope for a square all I want. They've all come out and all the wilds have come out, so I'm not going to get another square. So.
Yeah, that's where those pencil powers
now,
save
you also added pens to it.
I added pens.
Which works great. The pencils work, the pens were it was a much more pleasant experience.
So I can tell you why we did this initially. Games that come with pencils hardly ever come with pencil sharpeners.
Good point.
So we took this game to Italy because we fell in love with it right before our vacation. We knew we didn't want to be sharpening pencils. We wanted to play it whenever we wanted to. Bic sells a colorful kit. You can get it almost anywhere you can get pens that comes with every requisite color. Yeah, so $1.98, you get yourself a deluxe upgrade, and you don't have to worry about sharpening the pencils.
We'll leave a link below to where you can find Bic's colorful pen
Or you can
kit.
just overlay that right here.
Yeah.
Now you have to do it.
Now you have to, the Amazon link to that.
to the Bic pen set. So this continues to be such a joy. I played it recently with a family friend, and I hadn't played for a long time, and I really forgot like how fantastic and great this game is. It's quick to set up. It doesn't take up a lot of space on the table, and this is 2 separate games that we have set up, and it's still not taking up a lot of space
really,
at all.
so you can see the full setup. If you're curious, put those cards away.
Yeah, and you can play it side by side because there's no private information, which is really handy for something that you can play quick. Something that you can play quick and is very satisfying, and you can sort of play it the way you want. My girlfriend, Christine, she plays it like, what is the best option right now? And I play it like, what's the silliest thing that I could do and make weird shapes and still maybe get some points?
The other nice thing about pens, specifically for this game, is you can stick your pencil powers in your pens and they travel with it.
Yeah, I've done that. No, that's crazy. That is a brilliant idea.
So, and this is the entire setup. You put your 2 random objective cards, pencil powers if you're playing with them, shuffle your cards and put them out, give each player a sheet of paper, and these are just going to flip down like that and stack on top of each other until you get 5 pink cards. It takes up a very small amount of space.
Yeah, and when your food arrives, It's easy to pause.
Yep.
And then pick back up after.
Or when you have to go pick up the kids from school.
Totally, yeah. We actually, when we opened the Tokyo box, I saw that we had 2 halfway done games that we've got to finish later. But you can just pick right up there. That's another thing that I love about roll and rights, flip and rights, and something so colorful and joyful is really great.
That is it. On that specific note, the structure of this game, because you take one color, you complete your path of that color and go to the next one, that specific mechanic does make it really easy to know, because you don't have to track anything. You just look and say, okay, I've drawn blue and purple.
Yeah.
I'll do pink next. Like, you never repeat the color, so it is very easy to step away from and come back to.
And then when you write your score, you're using those colors as well. So you can you don't even need to go that far. You're like, I haven't used pink, so that's where I'll start.
Yeah, and real quick rundown of scoring, just because that's kind of the last thing we need to cover if anyone's interested. When you score, you're going to score each round with the color that you did. You're going to score the number of districts you visited, which again are separated by the impossible to see yellow lines. And then you find the district that you went to the most. You count the stations that you went to in that district. So for Brown, we went to 4 districts, and in the one we visited the most, had 2 stations in that one.
That was the short round.
4 times 2 is 8. You do that for each one. You add that together. Also, if you have a station in one of the outer districts, you get the points corresponding to that. Or an interchange. Interchange being where 2 colors go through the same station.
Oh, Allison almost had one there.
Yeah. And then you get points for the number of 3, 4, or 5 lines you have going into a single station. And then your objective cards, and that's it. And then you add all that together. In this one, in Tokyo, you subtract for lines on the green, or stations on the green line that you didn't visit. Multiply that times 3, but it's something I really appreciate about the score sheet is that it does have all of the math on the sheet versus just score for pink, score for purple, score, like it does. It walks you through, so it's very simple to calculate everything because it has the multiplication and all that.
Yeah, which means you'll never need to pry out the rule book and find where that entry is on there. It's all ready for you on the sheet. That's another thing. This is such a perfectly designed flip and write. It is also contained, but you get to think about so many fun things.
Yeah. And London is very similar scoring. The only difference is you don't have the green line. So for each color, you count how many times you cross the river, multiply that by 2. And then because you don't have the green line, it's 2, 3, and 4 station interchanges or color interchanges instead of 3, 4, and 5. But yeah, super simple game on tourist attractions. There's some minor differences, different things you're going for.
Yeah. When you get into it, you're going to realize there are a couple other things that you can consider, but that'll just contribute to how much fun you have with it.
But either game is a great one. I think if you're one to try one out, London is simpler.
Start with London. Hello.
London is simpler. Tokyo is more complex. Both have very similar gameplay. So if you like London, you will most likely enjoy Tokyo and vice versa.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yep. So I think that's it. Now, do you all sell this at Game Goblins?
We do. We will be getting Tokyo as soon as it reaches the right distributors for us, and we have a few copies of London left in our Conway store, but we will probably be restocking that pretty soon as well.
And Game Goblins does sell online, and it's very good about managing the stock levels. So if it is available on the website, it's actually available. So we'll leave a link below to where you can find this at Game Goblins. Go check it out. It's my friendly local game store.
Mine
it can
too.
be your friendly online game store.
Good.
So yeah, check this out. It's a fantastic game. Really enjoyed it. If you're a fan of roll and rights, I think you will enjoy it too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep. I think that's it. So until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.